For more than 100 years, this photograph was treated as a silent witness of history. It was blurry, damaged, incomplete, and yet trusted. But one modern decision, made in seconds, almost rewrote that moment forever. Before we begin, take a second to think about this question. If a computer shows you a clearer version of the past, how do you know it's still the truth? If you enjoy deep stories about history, science, and the hidden risks of modern technology, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and write your thoughts in the comments, especially if you think technology should be allowed to fix history. Your perspective matters more than you think. Now let's go back. The year is 1915, one of the coldest, most hostile places on Earth, Antarctica. There are no cities here, no roads, no rescue teams waiting nearby. Only endless ice, violent wind, and silence so complete it feels unnatural. In the middle of this frozen emptiness, a wooden ship sits trapped. Its name is Endurance. The ice has closed around it like a fist. The ship cannot move forward. It cannot turn back. It cannot escape. Around the ship stand 28 men. They wear heavy coats, thick boots, wool hats pulled low over their ears. Their faces are hard to see. The photograph that captures them is old, grainy, damaged by time. But their posture tells everything. They are not posing. They are not smiling. They are watching their only way home slowly being crushed by the ice. These men are members of the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition, led by Sir Ernest Shackleton. Their mission was supposed to make history. They planned to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot, something no human had ever done before. Instead, history had other plans. The Endurance left England in August of 1914, just as World War I began tearing Europe apart. By December, the ship entered Antarctic waters. By January of 1915, it was trapped. At first, the crew believed the ice would release them. It always did. Eventually, they waited. They stayed disciplined. They followed routine. But days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months, and the ice did not move. Every night, the ship groaned under pressure. Wood bent in ways it was never meant to bend. The men could hear it, cracking, splitting, complaining, like a living thing in pain. They knew what was happening. The ship was dying. And during this waiting, during this slow realization that their expedition had failed, one man continued working. Frank Hurley. Hurley was the expedition's photographer, only 29 years old, but already famous for risking his life to document extreme environments. His camera was not small. It was not light. It did not forgive mistakes. He carried heavy equipment across ice that could crack beneath his feet at any moment. He worked with fragile glass plates instead of modern film. Each plate had to be loaded by hand in total darkness. One mistake, one accidental exposure to light, and hours of effort were gone. In Antarctica, where temperatures could shatter metal and storms arrived without warning, photography was almost impossible. Almost. Hurley believed these images would matter. He believed the world needed to see what these men were facing. So he worked while his fingers went numb. He worked while the wind cut through every layer of clothing. He worked knowing that the ship, and possibly his life, might not survive. One day, he framed a shot. The Endurance, the ice, the men standing beside it. He wanted scale. He wanted perspective. He wanted the viewer to understand just how small humans are when nature decides otherwise. When he pressed the shutter, he captured a moment that would become legendary. A moment suspended between hope and disaster. That photograph appeared in books, museums, documentaries, classrooms. It became a symbol of endurance, leadership, and survival against impossible odds. But it was never perfect. Time damaged it. Scratches appeared, contrast faded, details disappeared into shadow. Faces became indistinct, objects blurred into guesses. Historians debated endlessly. Who was standing where? What equipment lay on the ice? What condition was the ship truly in at that exact moment? For over a century, the photograph refused to answer. And maybe that was the point. But humans don't like unanswered questions. As technology advanced, researchers tried everything. Better scans, contrast adjustments, digital cleanup. Each improvement revealed a little more, but never enough. Until artificial intelligence arrived. Suddenly, machines could do what humans could not. AI programs learned to sharpen faces, reconstruct damage, fill missing pixels. Old photographs began to look new again. World War II footage became clearer than ever. Victorian portraits looked like modern studio shots. To many people, this felt like a miracle. History, finally visible. So someone asked the obvious question: what if we do this to the Endurance photograph? The logic seemed sound. The technology had worked before. Why not here? The photograph was too important, they said, to remain blurry. It deserved clarity. It deserved modern restoration. And so, the decision was made. The original glass plate was scanned at extremely high resolution. Every crack, every scratch, every faded shadow was preserved digitally. Then the file was fed into an AI restoration system. No debate, no warning labels, no serious ethical discussion, just confidence. The computer analyzed the image pixel by pixel. It identified human shapes. It recognized clothing. It detected a ship, ice, tools, sky. Then it did what AI does best. It guessed. Hours later, the result appeared on the screen. And at first, it looked incredible. Faces were suddenly clear, expressions visible, eyes sharp, beards detailed. You could see fabric texture on coats, individual planks on the ship's hull, ropes, tools, shadows in the ice. It looked like the photograph had been taken yesterday. The team shared it online. The reaction was immediate. People were stunned. They said history had come alive. They said this was what technology was meant for. They said this was the greatest restoration ever made. Within hours, the image spread everywhere. News outlets published it. History blogs celebrated it. Teachers downloaded it. Documentary producers requested permission to use it. Millions saw the enhanced image before they ever saw the original. And for a moment, it felt like a triumph. Then someone looked closer. If you're still watching, write clarity in the comments. Because what happens next proves that clarity can be more dangerous than blur. A historian specializing in Antarctic expeditions noticed something small. Too small for most people to care about. The man standing on the far right was wearing the wrong coat. Not the wrong color. Not the wrong size. The wrong technology. The AI had added a zipper. Zippers were almost non-existent in 1915 expedition clothing, especially in Antarctica. That single detail raised a question no one wanted to ask. If the zipper was wrong, what else was? And that's when the celebration ended. Once the zipper was noticed, the image could never be seen the same way again. At first, many people dismissed it. A minor mistake, they said. A small detail. Nothing serious. But historians don't work like that. They know that history collapses not from big errors, but from small ones. Experts began examining the enhanced image more carefully, and the problems multiplied. A maritime historian noticed the ship's rigging looked wrong. The ropes were too neat, too clean, too evenly coiled. The Endurance had been trapped in ice for months. Its ropes should have been frozen solid, twisted, damaged by pressure and wind. Instead, The AI had given them the appearance of a museum exhibit. Perfect, orderly, modern. Then a textile specialist stepped in. She examined the coats, the stitching patterns, the fabric texture. The AI had recreated wool, but not the kind used in 1915. The weave pattern matched mid-20th century manufacturing techniques, technology that simply didn't exist during Shackleton's expedition. Another expert looked at the boots. The soles were wrong, too symmetrical, too refined. Early Antarctic boots were crude by modern standards, heavy, uneven, built for survival, not aesthetics. The AI version had cleaned them up. Faces became the next focus. One crew member appeared to have a visible scar across his cheek. The problem? That man had been photographed dozens of times before and after the expedition. There was no scar. The AI had invented it, or worse, borrowed it. A face recognition specialist compared facial structures between known photographs and the enhanced image. Jawlines didn't match. Ear shapes were subtly wrong. Eye spacing was off by millimeters, but millimeters matter. The AI had not restored faces. It had replaced them with averages. What the computer produced wasn't what those men looked like. It was what a human face is statistically expected to look like. Then someone noticed the tools near the men's feet. One object resembled a modern ice axe, curved pick, synthetic grip. That design didn't exist until decades later. Another object looked suspiciously like a plastic container. Plastic. In 1915. Impossible. Even the ice itself became suspect. Polar scientists analyzed the pressure ridges visible in the enhanced image. The formations didn't match the surrounding ice patterns. The physics didn't add up. The AI had added drama where none existed. Then came the shadows. Some shadows fell left. Others fell right. The sun cannot be in two places at once. The computer had enhanced light without understanding light. Within days, dozens of errors were documented. Then dozens more. Every expert who looked found something new. Small things, technical things. But together, they revealed the truth. This wasn't restoration. It was fabrication. The AI hadn't uncovered history. It had rewritten it. And it had done so confidently, cleanly, and convincingly. This is where the real danger begins. Artificial intelligence does not know time. It does not understand historical context. It does not know what belongs in 1915 and what belongs in 2015. To the machine, everything is just data. When the AI encountered blurred pixels, it did what it was trained to do. It filled the gaps, using probability, using patterns, using modern reference images, millions of them, wedding photos, fashion shoots, military portraits, ski jackets, tourist boats. The AI blended them all together and projected them backward in time. This process has a name: generative fill. It doesn't recover missing information. It invents it. The zipper appeared because modern coats almost always have zippers. The AI saw a coat shape and chose the most statistically common closure. The scar appeared because scars are common on rugged male faces. The AI added character where blur existed. The rope coils appeared neat because most ship photos in the training data show maintained vessels. The faces looked heroic because heroic faces dominate visual datasets. The AI wasn't lying. It was guessing, and it guessed with confidence. That confidence is what fooled everyone. Humans trust clarity. We associate sharpness with truth. If something looks real, we believe it. If it's blurry, we doubt it. The AI exploited that instinct. The enhanced image looked better than the original. More dramatic, more emotional, more cinematic. And that made it more dangerous. Because once people saw it, they preferred it. Even after experts pointed out the errors, many viewers didn't care. They said things like, "It still shows what it was like. It captures the feeling. It's close enough." But history is not about feeling. It's about accuracy. A slightly wrong detail today becomes a false assumption tomorrow. A false assumption becomes a false narrative. And a false narrative becomes accepted truth. The team behind the restoration realized this too late. They removed the AI version from official platforms. They issued statements. They explained the errors. They showed the original and the enhanced image side by side. They marked every invented detail: the zipper, the wrong fabric, the impossible shadows, the incorrect tools. They apologized, but the damage was already done. Millions of people had seen the fake version first. That image burned itself into memory. When they thought about Shackleton and the Endurance, they didn't picture the grainy original anymore. They pictured the AI fantasy. The past had been overwritten. And here's the problem with memory. Once it's altered, it doesn't revert easily. The real photograph now felt disappointing to some viewers. Too vague, too unclear, too distant. The truth felt weaker than the lie. Museums quietly removed the enhanced image from exhibits. Teachers deleted it from lesson plans. Documentary producers cut it from films. But no one could erase it from the internet completely. Screenshots remained. Downloads circulated. Re-uploads appeared. The false clarity lived on. Historians began asking an uncomfortable question. How many other historical images had already been altered like this? AI tools had been used on war footage, on family photographs, on museum archives. In many cases, no expert had checked the results. No one could easily tell which pixels were real and which were generated. The line between documentation and imagination had blurred. Ironically, the very blur people wanted to eliminate had been protecting history all along. The imperfections were honest. They admitted what we don't know. They reminded us that the past is distant, incomplete, and fragile. By removing that blur, AI didn't bring us closer to the truth. It replaced truth with confidence. And confidence is persuasive. If this is already making you think differently about technology and history, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It helps this channel reach people who care about truth more than spectacle. And tell me in the comments, should AI ever be allowed to alter historical records, even with good intentions? Because what happened with this photograph forced institutions to change forever. After the excitement faded and the corrections were issued, something unusual happened. Silence. No dramatic apologies. No public debates on primetime television. No clear rules announced immediately. Just quiet meetings behind closed doors. Archivists, historians, museum directors, and digital preservation experts suddenly realized they were standing on unstable ground. For decades, their mission had been simple: preserve the past as accurately as possible. Now, a new question had entered the room. What does accurate even mean when machines can invent detail? The Endurance photograph became a case study, not because it was the first image enhanced by AI, but because it was the first where the public noticed the lie. And once you notice one lie, you start looking for others. Experts returned to the original photograph with fresh eyes. The blur no longer felt like a flaw. It felt like a boundary. Every unclear face was an honest admission. We don't know. Every faded edge was a reminder. Time has passed. Every shadow hid information that simply no longer exists. And that was suddenly acceptable, even valuable. The blur protected the truth by refusing to pretend. Historians began using a phrase that hadn't been common before: honest uncertainty. They argued that historical records are not supposed to feel complete. They are fragments, traces, survivors. When we force clarity onto them, we are no longer preserving history. We are editing it. Museums reacted first. Several major institutions quietly updated their digital restoration policies. AI-enhanced images could still be used, but only under strict conditions. The original image must always be shown alongside the enhanced version. All alterations must be clearly labeled. A detailed explanation of what the AI changed must be included. Some museums went further. They banned AI enhancement entirely for photographs older than 50 years. Their reasoning was simple. If no living witnesses remain, there is no one left to correct the machine. The risk was too high. Educational institutions followed. Teachers were warned that AI-enhanced historical images could mislead students. Lesson plans were rewritten. Digital literacy suddenly included a new skill: learning to distrust realism. Students were taught to ask new questions. Who created this image? What tools were used? Which parts are original and which parts are generated? The endurance case appeared in textbooks, not as a story of exploration, but as a warning. Meanwhile, the tech industry moved on. AI tools became more powerful, faster, more convincing. And that was the most unsettling part. The next generation of image models wouldn't make obvious mistakes like zippers. They would learn historical context. They would train on era-specific datasets. They would hallucinate less, but still hallucinate. Because no machine can recover information that no longer exists. It can only guess more intelligently. And intelligent guesses are the hardest to detect. This raised a deeper concern. If AI can rewrite a photograph from 1915, what else can it rewrite? Audio recordings? Written documents? Scientific data? Already, AI systems were reconstructing damaged manuscripts, completing missing sentences, filling gaps in ancient texts, sometimes accurately, sometimes not. The problem was that the output always looked confident. Machines don't hesitate. They don't say, "I'm not sure." They produce results, and humans tend to trust results. The endurance photograph forced historians to confront an uncomfortable truth. For centuries, the greatest threat to history had been destruction, fire, war, decay. Now, the threat was improvement. Too much clarity, too much completion, too much confidence. The photograph returned to archives in its original form, grainy, scratched, incomplete. And something interesting happened. People began to appreciate it again, not as an image to analyze, but as a moment to respect. Those men standing on the ice remained partially hidden. Their expressions were still unclear, their exact positions still debated. But that uncertainty felt human. It matched the reality of memory. When we think about our own past, we don't remember every detail clearly. Faces blur, colors fade, moments overlap. History works the same way. Frank Hurley never intended to capture perfection. He intended to capture reality as best he could under impossible conditions, and he succeeded. The blur was not a failure of technology. It was a reflection of circumstance. The ice, the cold, the risk. The photograph showed exactly what could be shown, and nothing more. And that restraint turned out to be its greatest strength. If you're still watching, this is the moment where I'd really like to hear your opinion. Do you think we should accept incomplete history if it means staying truthful? Or do you believe technology should always try to fill the gaps? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and they genuinely shape what this channel explores next. Because this story isn't just about one photograph. It's about the future. A future where machines can generate images, voices, and documents that feel more real than reality itself. If we don't decide now where the line is, that line will be drawn for us. And once it's crossed, there's no undo button. When the Endurance photograph returned to its original state, something subtle but important changed. People stopped asking what the men looked like. They stopped trying to identify every face. They stopped demanding answers the image was never meant to give. Instead, they began to feel the moment again. A frozen ocean. A ship locked in ice. Men standing quietly, aware that their future was uncertain. The photograph no longer competed with modern images. It no longer tried to impress. It simply existed, and that was enough. Historians now use this case to explain a critical difference: the difference between information and meaning. AI can generate information. It can simulate detail. It can create images that feel complete. But meaning comes from limits. Meaning comes from knowing what we cannot recover. The blur in the photograph is not empty. It is honest. It tells us that some details are lost forever, and that accepting this loss is part of respecting the past. Frank Hurley never imagined artificial intelligence. He never imagined his photograph would be examined pixel by pixel a century later. He never imagined machines would try to improve his work. But he understood something machines still don't. A photograph is not just data. It is context. It is time. It is risk. Hurley took that image knowing the ship might be destroyed, knowing the glass plates might shatter, knowing he might not survive to see them developed. That uncertainty is embedded in the image itself. No algorithm can recreate that. The Endurance expedition became legendary, not because it succeeded, but because it failed with dignity. The ship was eventually crushed and sank. The crew abandoned it. They lived on drifting ice for months. They crossed open ocean in lifeboats, and somehow, every man survived. That story does not need enhancement. It needs respect. Today, the original photograph remains archived, damaged, grainy, incomplete. But now, it carries an additional layer of meaning. It stands as a warning that not everything should be fixed. Not everything should be sharpened. Not everything should be completed. Sometimes, the gaps are the truth. As AI continues to evolve, this lesson becomes more important, not less. We are entering an era where machines can generate history that feels more convincing than reality. Images that never existed, voices that never spoke, documents that were never written. And the danger is not that people will believe obvious fakes. The danger is that they will believe subtle ones. The ones that feel reasonable. The ones that look right. The ones that improve the story just enough to make it unforgettable. The Endurance photograph reminds us that history does not need to be cinematic. It needs to be accurate, even when accuracy is uncomfortable, even when it leaves questions unanswered, especially then. If you value stories like this, stories that don't just entertain, but challenge how we see truth, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It tells the algorithm that long, thoughtful content still matters, and write a comment sharing your view. Should AI ever be allowed to alter historical records, or should some things remain untouched forever? Because the future of memory depends on the choices we make now. And once the past is rewritten, it doesn't ask for permission.